like to call to order the April meeting of the Suffolk Historic Landmarks Commission. Could we have the roll call, please?
Is Chairman Bailey?
Here.
Commissioner Bissell?
Here.
Commissioner Coley?
Here.
Commissioner Draper?
Here.
Chairman Hobbs?
Here.
Commissioner King?
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer? Commissioner Turner?
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, the minutes were distributed, and trust everybody's had an opportunity to review the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Small one. I think they call it A fund rather than D fund. There is a difference. And I think the fund is operating budget, which they call their rated A fund to keep the AAA bond rating. I don't know if A fund would be like, it could be any fund.
Okay, everybody catch that?
I did or not. Marion, did you catch that
Let me find it in
comment?
here.
I believe he says it should be the fund, not a fund. The fund?
Okay.
D fund, yeah.
Okay.
The fund, okay.
The operating fund, I think I expressed it somewhat that way.
Okay.
Is that all the fines go into our operating fund, our general fund,
Yes.
which one Councilman calls range A fund.
All right.
Okay, do we have a motion? We have a motion. We have a motion that we approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Okay, we have one small item of business during this meeting today. Main important item of business, update on historic district guidelines and ordinance text amendment, and I recognize Mr. Kennedy for that presentation.
Well, good morning, everyone. We are in the process of getting comments on the draft guidelines and the zoning ordinance amendment, picking up on the work session discussion last month. So a good time to share that, an update with you on where we are in that process and our updated schedule for going forward. So no action on this item today, just an information sharing with you all. But before we get started, I want to just briefly introduce Aubrey von Lindern, who is here with us today. As you all know, Aubrey is the architectural historian with Virginia Department of Historic Resources, and will be spending some time with us today on the training session that immediately follows your meeting this morning, and also working with us on a periodic audit as a CLG member. We'll be talking about that today as well. So welcome, Aubrey. Look forward to working with you today. So back to the process that we're going through with respect to the guidelines and the ordinance amendment. We were out getting comment the last several weeks, and we always start with this slide to make it clear that there are actually two documents that are going through this process, a little bit unique with respect to the zoning ordinance. So there's the guidelines, which are being updated, as well as a number of proposed amendments to the historic conservation overlay zoning district within the city's zoning ordinance. We also take a minute to remind everyone that this is a unique zoning program in many ways. We work closely with Department of Historic Resources. We adhere to the National Park Service standards. That's a big part of this program. And we look to maintain our membership in the Certified Local Government program. And of course, we draw a lot on outside expertise, both at the state level and in this particular project, working with a consulting group with a lot of technical expertise that really served as the main author of this design guideline update. So again, a lot of coordination. These are some of the major groups that we check in with along the way. We've got a mailing list for the property owners in the district. There's a small group of business owners that are organized and meet regularly, and we've kept them in the loop as well. And of course, internal kinds of coordination right here in City Hall. I want to follow up on the work session that we had with you all last month. And the comments that we received on both the zoning ordinance and the guidelines, we were able to incorporate, I believe, all of the comments on the zoning ordinance that we heard from you all. In fact, in front of you this morning is an updated version of the zoning ordinance text as well as the guidelines. So again, not substantial in terms of major changes, but important, changes that we're incorporating as we go along. We think we catch everything when we review these things, but inevitably there are a few things that you miss. So we're making those changes as we go along. And the commission had a number of comments about the guidelines. Many of those had to do with the presentation of that document, it being readable, and easily read. And so we've made many of those changes, but I wanted to point out a couple of things that I think I mentioned last month. This is actually prepared mainly to be a read online document, which is how most people will get this information. And some of the compromises that come along with that, it actually reads quite well if you're looking at a screen. The contrast does come through. So I wanted everyone to keep that in mind. This is a specialized program for creating a document. We aren't experts at that program, but we've been able to recruit some help here in City Hall and make many of those changes. But there are a few that if we continue to want to make those changes, we'll probably have to bring someone in to help us out with that, and we can talk about the ways we could go about doing that. But again, those are important, but not substantial in terms of the direction that we're taking in the document. So we're going to recommend that we continue to move forward in terms of the review and approval process, which I'll share with you in just a minute. Also had a good comment we felt on is it a searchable document? Would an index be helpful? And again, one of the things that we were reminded of, I think after the meeting, is the digital version is searchable. As a PDF file, you can search any word in the document. It'll take you directly to where that appears in the document. But again, if we wanted to make that available in the print format, we could do that too. It would take some additional time and probably expense for us to do that. So that's where we stand following up on the comments that we received last month. And here's the process for going forward. I've started at the beginning, and many of these dates, thankfully, are behind us. And generally, we're hearing very supportive comments, both from DHR as well as property owners, which I think is a good sign because, as you all know, we're trying to balance the user property owner experience, again with the goals we're trying to achieve in this ordinance. So we did our last meeting with the Downtown Business Group was March 2nd. We had a meeting, censure work session at the local art gallery here in downtown. Very good turnout to, again, let people know this process was underway and share copies of the document. And again, good feedback at that meeting. Generally supportive. We had, I believe, 1 or 2 council members there as well. For some folks, we're not maybe going far enough in terms of loosening up the standards or the process. But again, we feel like we've struck a balance here, and I think most folks appreciate that and support where we're going. Of course, we had the work session with you all in March, and are proposing to bring this back to you for your action at your May meeting. We also have essentially we met with let me start at the beginning here. We met with the ordinance committee of the Planning Commission also in March and let them know what we were working on. But we will be going to the commission next week at their regular April meeting, which is going to be also a work session type meeting and getting into a little more of the detail of this proposal with the commission with the intention of seeking their support at their May meeting. Okay, so HLC action proposed for May 11th, Planning Commission action proposed for May 16th, and then looking at target dates of June and July for actual adoption of these documents by City Council. So sorry for the long-winded process here, but I wanted to make sure that you all had that whole picture in mind in terms of both where we've been and where we're proposing to go over the next few months. So, Mr. Chairman, I think that concludes my update this morning, but happy to take any questions or comments that you all might have.
First and foremost, to commend you and the staff in regards to listening in to what we had to comment on our last work section. I think you have worked tremendously well together and making the improvements as we had recommended. However, there are two corrections that I find to be made, and that is on after the cover page. My name is misspelled. My last name is Bailey. And I don't know if Miss Mary Ellen has a space between Mary and Ellen or not, but you have to ask that particular person.
Okay. All good comments. We want to get it all right. And again, it's just,
And going to page 95, as I was looking, and I think we hit this somewhat on the last work section. I don't espouse to everything being in bold unless it has to be an emphasis on it. So I'm not supporting 1, 2, and 3 being all bold. I think the rest of the document reads very well, but if it's something that has to be bold, let it be bold and bring it to our attention. But everything right there runs together because everything is bold.
Yeah.
Those are the only comments that I had.
Okay. And we'll check to see. I'm looking back at Aaron, who's kind of our expert on the software program. If that's a change we can make, we will certainly do that.
Anything else?
That's all I've got this morning. I know we've got a couple of staff reports for you all as well, but again, we will be taking about a 15-minute break or so after you adjourn this portion of your meeting today, and we'll gather upstairs on conference room 3, I believe, in the Public Works Department for the training portion of the meeting.
Yeah, one more quick question. How does this document that was passed out to us that's highlighted, how does that fit into the package we were just, the overall plan here?
The other document is the text zoning ordinance amendment. So again, those are two sister documents, if you will. One adopts the other by reference in the code. It turns out, I believe there were 5 actual sections of the code, or 4 that needed to be amended. So it's a lot to follow. But essentially, it makes the code changes that are consistent with the guidelines. Yeah. Okay?
Thank you. Okay, have the property maintenance update.
Good morning, Commission. Susan Dillard. I have the code enforcement for property maintenance. 342 North Main Street, again, is still in violation. The owner is deceased, and nothing has been filed with the clerk's office indicating an executive of the estate or anything. Nothing has been filed as of today. 363 East Washington Street, that building was demolished by the property owners 2 weeks ago. 223 Bank Street, that property is still in violation. We've spoken to Midland Bank regarding the structure, regarding foreclosure of the structure, and they have told us they're going to be contacting their attorneys, and we have yet to hear anything from them. 219 Clay Street, we're still waiting for the owner of the property to file all his documents to start renovation of that property. We have since issued a summons to the owner to appear in General District Court. 112 West Washington Street, the property is still vacant and it's still in violation. 374 East Washington Street, property is still in violation. Haven't heard anything from the owners of the property. We've issued a summons back in January. They had no service. We reissued the summons for next month. Hopefully we'll get service for that. In the meantime, we have an appointment today to meet with a structural engineer to evaluate the stability of that structure. We've conducted sweeps in the neighborhood, HLC neighborhood, streets, Chestnut Street, North Street, Pine Street, Clay Street, and South Saratoga Street. And we found numerous violations, and notice of violations have been sent to the owners of that property, of those properties, to bring it into compliance. Re-inspections are going to be conducted later on this month. And if you have any questions, I can take them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a zoning update, please.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and staff. My name is Lisa Marshall, Zoning Inspector with the City of Suffolk, here to give an update on zoning matters. We currently only have 2 properties under action. The first is 201 Bosley Avenue. That is for offense with no permit and no certificate of appropriateness. A summons was issued for a court appearance on April 6, in which that case was continued for May 4th. The second is 111 Linden Avenue for exterior repairs, renovations, replacements to the front porch with no certificate of appropriateness. A notice of violation was sent on March 30th, 2023. I do want to bring to your attention that that is a correction to the report which you may have received with an incorrect date of August 30th of 20. The property owner contacted us on April 12th of this month and requested more time to work towards compliance in submitting the paperwork. Thank you. That concludes the update for zoning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any administrative approvals?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any detailed comments this morning, but happy to answer any questions that you all might have. I noticed that I believe you've got the administrative approvals for since January, so happy to answer any questions that you may have on any of these individual cases.
Not? Thank you. Are there any announcements? Are there any announcements for today?
No announcements other than, again, after our adjournment today, we'll gather upstairs for the training portion of the program.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, there being no more business on the agenda, we'll adjourn now for meet back upstairs. Thank you.